and take your rightful place. You're not going to grow up.
What if Africa realized its true potential? What if Africa colonized the world? These were just two of the ideas thrown around at the TEDx Stellenbosch event in the Western Cape this past week. The day-long event at the Spear Wine Estate created a platform for a range of speakers as diverse as the continent they were discussing. The uniting theme? Africa's legacy and its future.
So the concept What If Africa was actually crowdsourced from our event last year. We asked the crowd to suggest ideas for this year's theme, and What If Africa came out of that. We're trying to explore legacies around South Africa. So Africa in the past, the present, and in the future. And we try to get as wide a range of speakers as possible to try and delve into these different times in Africa, which is an ever-changing continent, as we all know. We have economists on stage, and then directly followed by that we have African spiritualists. So all of them bring from their unique kind of realms very different takes on what is, this core idea of African, exploring ideas from Africa.
Other themes explored under the banner included the right of anonymity in a social media gripped society, as explained by tech entrepreneur Alan Knott Craig Jr. Another was the application of traditional African philosophy to 21st century land preservation, led by poet Machila Motsei. Also in the lineup was Kenyan entrepreneur Nivi Mukherjee, responsible for the inception of a tablet application called Elimu, which is used in Kenyan primary education.
It started with me working with some children and seeing how they were learning or how they were not learning so well, and thinking how can we use technology to get these kids really engaged and interested and fascinated in the learning process.
The app's use extends beyond the standard school curriculum and promotes the concept of using technology to spread ideas and creativity.
So we said our focus is one, let's get these kids to perform better in school, get them engaged in learning. But we said, let's also develop responsible citizenship. Let's get kids to care about things that kids need to care about that unfortunately our curriculum isn't covering. So we included content about the environmental conservation, about social justice, human rights, and personal financial literacy. So every student logs in, everyone has a unique username and password, and I'll show you why. And once they've logged in, they see basically the contents of the 6 subjects on the left: science, maths, English, Kiswahili, religious studies, and social studies. And then there's quizzes, there's games, which aren't here right now. They've got what's new, news items, what's relevant to them.
And that's also localized, that's the news.
Yes, so if you're in Turkana and we've recently drilled oil there, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to your family, to your community? Fictional stories by African authors. We're not, reading stories about winters in New York and snow. Exam tips on how to perform well in your exam. If you're a teacher or a parent, you'll see a teaching aid or a parenting guide, how to recognize learning disabilities and so on. Kids can ask questions over here to some of the best teachers in Nairobi. If they can also see notices and they can search for particular subjects.
Education was a big theme at TEDx, as was the issue of the unhappy marriage between industrial development and efforts towards environmental sustainability.
We need to adapt to the end of economic growth as we have known it in the world. We cannot just look back into the past and use that as a model to extrapolate into the future and say that is how our growth is going to be. It's impossible. The planet is bursting at the seams.
Deal's address at TEDx touched on Africa's increasing energy requirements as it gears up for higher levels of economic and population growth, and the viability of renewable energies replacing traditional fossil fuels.
Well, apart from pursuing the renewable energy alternatives, and South Africa has some of the best solar irradiation in the world. We have countries like Spain that ran a concentrated solar power facility for 24 hours a day, 6 or 8 months ago. We've got Germany that 2 months ago generated 50% of their power needs from solar and renewable energy. Those are countries that have got a lot less sun than South Africa. And so I wouldn't be so quick to write off the renewables, but also the fact that we have to change our lifestyles. We may not be able to have street lights burning on every block in every city in every town in the world. It's got to change. Our lives have got to change, and we've got to adapt to life on the planet. The planet is not going to adapt to human beings anymore.
The theme of peaceful environmental coexistence between humans and the planet will be explored at the next TEDx event, which moves further inland to the Karoo town of Prince Albert in September.